Today is July the 27th, 2015. This is James Robert Deal recording statement. Political statement complete with gardening. This is a mulberry. Mulberries are wonderful. They grow very nicely. They just got to prune them heavily. The reason why you don't see mulberries for sale is because you have to pick them by hand. There's no machine that can pick these. And they're yummy. So I have 2 mulberries growing in my yard, front and back. So now I'll also introduce you to the grapes. But I wanted to talk about facing up to issues. You know, my opponents don't want to talk about the issues. We've got Dave saying that there's a financial crisis because the reserves are running low and Mr. Lovick is spending too much money. And then Lovick says the house is not on fire, the disaster is, sky is not falling, that's what he says. And that's the only issues they have to talk about. And then there's this guy that John Lovick failed to fire. He should have fired him a long time ago. He's so rude. You know, it does a person a lot of good to get fired. And changing jobs is an educational experience in itself. There's always somebody else that can do your job. So, but anyway, both Dave and John, when I pointed it out to him at the Seattle Times interview, said yes, they are in favor of drinking water fluoridation. Then I wrote a letter to Robert Sutherland, and he said he thought it was an unimportant issue. So he's not going to do anything about it either. We don't know what Norm Nunnally thinks about it. He doesn't address the question. So there you've got it. 2 of them are for it. One thinks it's not important, and one hasn't commented at all as to what his position is. So, do you want toxic drinking water, toxic waste, in your drinking water? See? This is called a McCampbell, and it's a version of the Concord grape. It is bulletproof. You don't see any problems here, except that some of these haven't filled out. Now, was that because of lack of bees to pollinate? I think we watered it a lot. So anyway, we're not going to take them off. One of the questions I have is how many clusters can a healthy plant, well-watered plant, handle? I know if you underwater them, some of them grapes will start to shrivel. And then there's the airport issue. Dave Summers and John Lovick signed off on the lease to give Propeller an option to get airlines to sign up so they can afford to build an air terminal. Well, what they're overlooking is that if you allow one airline to get in there, all the others have is equal right to be there. And pretty soon it could grow, just like all these satellite airports around Los Angeles. And there are silly people who say, oh, I want an airport in Everett so I won't have to drive through Seattle to SeaTac. Hey, there's a thing called a freeway bus. Get on the freeway bus at the Park and Ride, and it takes you to downtown Seattle. And then you're on the light rail, and someday light rail will get to Everett, Linwood and Everett. So it's going to destroy neighborhood values. It's going to reduce property values. That will reduce property taxes, and it will reduce income to the county. So I'm generally a generous, progressive, some might even say liberal person, but when it comes to wasting money, I'm stingy. All these buses rolling around here, look, see, this is sickly. And when you have sickness on your grapes, you need to pull off any clusters that look sickly. And I don't know whether this is a systemic problem. I don't know whether it's caused by a certain type of... See, a lot of this has got to go. Now, on the same plant, though, look over here. See? This one looks healthy, but you know, it's still got those white spots. Fluorosis. And these look healthy. So I'm going to come back with my clippers and whack most of these out of here. Sometimes the plant gives more resources to the clusters that are further out on the edge of the vine than to the ones that are close to the center. See, that just doesn't look healthy. Now with this guy, I already took off about 3/4 of his grapes. These are going to be tiny, sweet, luscious little wine grapes. And I had to do the same over here. I took off a lot of them, but I think the ones that are left are looking pretty healthy. Notice how they're starting to split though. Some of them are splitting. And I don't know if that's a disease or if I overwatered, and that's why they split. And then again, the question, how many clusters of grapes can a healthy plant that's well watered sustain? Whenever I've examined orchards in eastern Washington, I've noticed that they have the grapes are, instead of being 8 feet apart or 10 feet apart, they're 5 feet apart. So they have twice as many plants, and each plant only has a small number of clusters. This is the cucumber. And we picked all the cucumbers, but it's making new cucumbers. So, they don't face the fluoridation issue. They don't face the airport issue. The nonpartisan issue, well, John and Dave both in favor of elections in Snohomish County being partisan. And the problem with that is, one, the issues that we face here in the county have no connection whatsoever to the federal, what the political parties are arguing about on the federal level or even the state level. We're just in favor of good, clean government here, effective government, where we spend our dollars wisely and we get things done that really need to be done. And I've spoken out in favor of declaring ourselves an organic county. Well, they just look at me with kind of a blank stare, probably thinking, oh, could we do that? That's not our responsibility. Yes, you can do it. We have police powers over not getting sprayed with carcinogens. And Roundup has been declared by the World Health Organization to be a type 2A carcinogen. So you see the method here. These all run on berry wire. And then you go to Lowe's and you spend $10 for one of these shelf brackets and you drill them into your fence. So they can be on either side. The value of this is it gets them up high enough so that the sun can come over the fence. So you can grow on either side of a fence using this method, which I invented. That shows I'm a little bit creative. See, these are not looking too good. I wonder, what is that? These are currants, which don't produce well. And this is an Italian prune plum, and I don't like the color. I don't know, I guess it's okay. Maybe it's just dirty. But you can see a lot of them have fallen to the ground. That's not a good sign. And we have a lot of suckers coming up from below. This is a real heavy producer this year because I severely pruned it. This is a Pinot Noir. It is called Wadensil, W-A-D-E-N-S-I-L. So these are getting a lot of water, and we gave them some more organic fertilizer earlier. And the pears are all healthy, but the leaves all have pimples, blotches. But maybe that's not a problem. So then there's the issue of door-to-door transit. Now this is such a new idea that my traditional opponents, so traditional, it doesn't even connect. They don't talk about it. They don't say, oh, James, that's a bad idea, or James, that's a good idea. It is so eminently logical. Let's talk about our current transit system. If you tried, you could not make it any more difficult to use than it is. First of all, the bus doesn't come to your house. You have to go find the bus, and you have to study a schedule. And for me to use the bus to go to a meeting at the Seattle Times office in Bothell, I think that's where they actually print the newspapers. It would have taken me 2.5 hours each way. I would have had to hike a half a mile to get to the bus stop, then gone to the park and ride, then taken a bus to Bothell, then get out and have a 0.7 mile hike to the Seattle Times office in Bothell. In other words, it's just not convenient to use. So why not come pick people up, take them to the park and ride, then the bus takes me to the park and ride in Bothell. From there I take a van to my ultimate destination. I was able to leave the car at home. What would it cost to do that? Less than the cost of owning a car, driving a car. And once you have this alternative situation in place, then the next step is to start charging people to park at the park and ride. Why park at the park and ride for $5 a day when you can get a flex van to come pick you up for $5 a day and take you to and from the park and ride? In other words, we can make the system unified. The system right now is disconnected. It is not comprehensive. See? Artichoke. What do you call it when it grows above near the North Pole? It's called Arctic choke. And I guess you could have Antarctic choke. Let's see if this beauty plum is any good. I'm not happy with the taste of the beauty plums. I'm thinking of taking the tree out. That one's fair. Not sweet, not a lot of flavor, sour skin. Well, I'll use it as fertilizer. See, the sunflowers are starting to come up. I think that my opponents are thinking, well, nobody else has done it. So therefore, they are only followers. They're not going to do anything unless it's already a proven technology. So how do you ever implement the first transit system to... If all the transit systems are waiting for somebody else to go first, then nobody will ever go first. And then they're thinking, well, who is Mr. Deal? He's a lawyer to come up with a transit solution. Well, being a lawyer trains me to look at options, to consider possibilities. These are yummy. So we think these are going to grow at least that high. That's 10 feet up there. And actually, to tell you the truth, I did not invent the idea of using flex vans and having door-to-door transit. Uber did. Uber delivers you, picks you up at your house and takes you where you want to go, charges you by credit card. The drivers are all registered. The passengers are all registered. So there can't be any hanky-panky. It's actually more secure. Now the difference between what I'm proposing and what Uber does is Uber is a taxi system that carries one passenger or one group of passengers all the way to the destination. If it's SeaTac, they drive the person all the way to SeaTac. But the van system I'm proposing would just take you from your home to the park and ride. From there you take the fast bus. Or someday when we have the train in place, you take the train. Now this fig, the limbs on the fig were drooping down, so I just put a rope around it all to tie it up. And I will need some coaching on what to do about that. Maybe these limbs need to be cut shorter, because have had fig trees break on me, split off, and one gets started to splitting, they all split. But this one is now in the ground 3 years old. It's starting to get soft. So my opponents are conventional thinkers. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so they say, well, we have more elective experience. We've been in office. And John says, now 2 years I've been a county executive. And Dave Summers says, 14 years I've been on the county council. Well, but what have you done in 14 years? You know, you've done a good job of keeping things the way they are. And that's not what we need. We need an idea person. And I just don't think they're idea people. They don't even get the ideas when you hand it to them on a silver platter. When Dave Summers comes up with a good idea, I say, yeah, I agree with Dave on that. But they have never said that they agree with me on anything. They just talk about their same little issues. John's spending too much money, and Dave is claiming that the sky is falling. So vote for John or vote for Dave. This is the little pomegranate. The flowers all fell off and it didn't make pomegranates. This is a demonstration project in growing clover instead of just regular grass. See, clover is much more drought tolerant, self-fertilizing because it's a legume, so grow clover. Go to the store and get white clover seed. So this idea of having an organic county. Why should we put up with Roundup being sprayed in our watershed when it kills salmon? How does it kill salmon? Roundup, first of all, kills the little insects that salmon larvae eat. It kills insects. If you go to a cornfield where Roundup is sprayed, there are no animals. The Roundup sickens them and they leave. So, I don't know the name of this. It's kind of bitter until late in the year and it sort of sweetens up. So why can't we ban the spraying of Roundup in the county? Declare the county an organic county. Lincoln County down in Oregon did it. Another county in southern Oregon did it. The county of Maui in Hawaii has done it. The nation of France has banned the sale of Roundup. This is the Buick that my mother left me in 1999. Has everything I need in a car. Prestigious. Le Sabre, the sword. The vans would pay their own way because you could charge $2, $3 each way, $6 a day, 6 times 20 working days is $120 a month. Now you probably want to charge extra for the freeway buses. Okay, so that's another $5. So you've got $6 plus $5 or $6, $12 a day round trip. Gets you from where you are to where you want to go. You don't have to own a car. Or you can own one fewer car and save $700 a month. Seems like an economically wise trade to me. But my opponents just don't get it. They don't address the issue. They just ignore the issue. Dave talks about eliminating choke points. You know, if you eliminate one choke point, there will be more choke points because there will be more cars on the road, unless you figure out a way to get people to leave their single occupancy vehicles at home. And you accomplish that by making it easy to use the transit system. This is Swiss chard. In Switzerland it's called American chard. I don't know. Sounds like it should be true even if it isn't. See, this cabbage is making a beautiful cabbage. And I leave a few of these dills to go to seed because they drop their seeds and then the dills volunteer. Dill and fennel are very hard to get to grow. But when you plant them in a row, they don't ever come up. They only come up where they volunteer. This is a dill. Not a James Deal, a dill, D-I-L-L. See, it's the dark brown color. Totally healthy, no aphids. No. Yum. Parsley. Eat some raw greens every day. Some cooked greens. Look how well the peppers are doing. So what other issues are there? Should it be a nonpartisan county? Let's say that James is opposed to fluoridation, and you are too. But let's say James declared himself to be a Republican, and you're a Democrat. You say, well, I can't vote for James, even though I agree with him on fluoridation, because he's a member of the wrong party. We don't want to make that party any stronger. Well, that is completely illogical. On the county level, those issues that divide Republicans and Democrats on the state level and the federal level do not apply. Elections should be issues-based instead of image-based. That's what it is now. Party-based and image-based. Vote for our party. And then the party does little more than keep the other party out. So that's why I decided to run as an independent. Neither party wants to listen to me on the subjects of having an organic county, getting rid of the fluoride, having door-to-door transit. So why should I identify with them? Today is July 27th, Monday. Not a cloud in the sky. Totally blue. No aerosol spraying. Signing out.